So the HP Envy models, the HP DeskJet models, those are gonna be great for if you don't have to print as much. If you're gonna be printing more than the usual, or medium, are you in the process of looking for a printer and don't know which one to buy? Well, in this video, I'm gonna give you a printer's buying guide that's gonna help you determine which printer you should buy. It's a question I get asked all the time on my channel and people I know personally. So I wanted to make a video to help you make a better buying decision. So if you want a printer buying guide, you're gonna wanna watch this entire video. Stay tuned. Hey YouTube, what is going on? The Printer Guy here, and today I wanna help you buy a printer. Now, there are so many different printer options on the market. On Amazon, if you go on there, there's so many different ones. If you go to the store, there are tons of printers to choose from. In this video, I'm gonna break down how to find the best printer for you. Now, to get the most value out of this video, I recommend watching the entire video, but you don't have to. You can actually use the chapters down below. Those chapters will be a guide to you, so if you need to skip ahead, if you wanna go to a different part of the video, it'll make it really easy, and there will be titles for each chapter. Now, before we go any further, you need to understand the difference between an inkjet printer and a laserjet printer. A laserjet printer is going to be primarily for office use. It prints primarily in black, but it also does color. We're not really going to be talking about laserjet printers. We're going to be primarily talking about inkjet printers. Inkjet printers are going to be more compatible with printing photos, your everyday usage, scanning, all those different functionalities that we'll get into later on in this video. Primarily, we will be talking about inkjet printers. Now, it may be that through this guide that you end up determining that you actually need a laserjet printer, and of course, that is something that you may need. And I'll just cut to the chase with the laserjet printer. If you're just printing documents, you don't really need to scan for the most part. You don't really need to print photos. You're not gonna have any specialty prints or anything like that. And it's just like an office environment. You're gonna wanna have a laserjet printer. Now, in the video description, which is down below, so if you scroll a little bit lower, you click on description, I'm gonna be leaving links to any of the printers that I end up talking about. I'm gonna be talking about a lot of different printers. I'm gonna leave one option for a laserjet printer that I trust and recommend. The first thing you need to determine when you're buying a printer is, what is your budget? How much are you willing to spend on a printer? But not only on the printer ink, because the ink is gonna be what you're gonna be buying the most. You're gonna buy the printer once, but ink, you may have to buy many times. So you wanna make sure of what the price of the printer is and what is the price of the ink. Now, of course, when you go lower on the budget, you get less features. You get less quality, you could say, but most printers have pretty good quality for the most part, but you get less quality with the product. When you go higher on the price, a lot of times you do end up getting a better printer. So for me, a good budget, a good price range that I would say to stick in would be no lower than $250. But if your budget is lower than $250, that's totally fine. There are so many printer options that are under $250. They're actually more around $100 and maybe less than $100. Those printers are the HP DeskJet printers. Those are the lowest. They have very little functionality. And the HP Envies. The HP Envies I highly recommend because they have lots of features. They are less expensive. The ink price is reasonable. And the printers, you can get one with a lot of features. I'm gonna leave the one with the most features at the lowest price down in the description below under HP Envy printer. Now, the HP DeskJet, I'm gonna leave an option for one of those as well. You can actually go up in the model, down in the models, and you can get more features, less features, go up in price, lower in price. HP DeskJets, for the most part, are going to be lower priced printers. They're gonna be smaller printers, smaller in size. They're not gonna take up much space. And so those are great options if you're on a low budget. Now, really quickly, to understand printer model numbers, that is, you have HP DeskJet, HP OfficeJet, Epson EcoTank, Epson Workforce. That is the brand of the printer, and then the series, which is Workforce, EcoTank, DeskJet, OfficeJet. That comes after the brand name. The model number is gonna change. Sometimes it's gonna be a higher number, a lower number. That can be confusing. So I wanna make it really simplified. The higher usually you go in that number with the model number, usually the more features you end up getting. The lower you go, the less features, and the base models usually have those lower numbers, 1,000, 100. For example, the Epson EcoTank lineup, which we will talk more about in this video, the base model is the Epson EcoTank 2850, but really the base is 2800. you don't need to worry about the 50 because sometimes there's a 2865, 2833, it's just the Epson EcoTank 2000 model. The next step up from that is the Epson EcoTank 3000. The most popular one is the Epson EcoTank 3850. Then up from that is the 4850, and then you have higher models, 8550, 15,000, and those have much higher models. They're much more expensive. Just so you have a general idea, so that when you're purchasing, that's gonna make it a lot more easy to understand that the printer model numbers do have a part to play. Now, if at any point in this video this information becomes overwhelming, just look at the printer list that I have down below, and I'm gonna kind of describe the type of printer and the price range and all that kind of thing so that you can just choose one of those. All right, so we have a desired budget. Maybe you have a high budget, maybe you have a low budget. Low budget, I gave you some options already. On the higher end, with the Epson EcoTank lineups, I mentioned the 8550. I've reviewed that printer on this channel, and the 15,000. I recently reviewed that printer on this channel. And those printers are gonna have wider formats. They're gonna be geared towards photo printing and specialty prints and really big photos. You're able to print with those printers. Wider format paper, thicker paper, a lot more functionality, touch screens. They're gonna be larger size printers. That is on the higher end of the spectrum, and those are some really great options. Now there are some other really high expensive printers. I personally use an HP OfficeJet Pro Premier, and that is just a more expensive version of a general, HP OfficeJet printer. There's nothing really fancy about it, but it's just a good printer. And so it ends up being more pricey. If you want to use the printer that I personally use, I'm gonna link that down below. It's gonna be the Printer Guys printer. Now I know that there's a lot of information in this video, but I hope that it's valuable. If it is, please make sure to like the video. Any questions at all, comment below. And if you want more content like this, please make sure to subscribe. I'm getting close to 50,000 subscribers. I'm so excited for that. I do a lot of printer unboxings and videos like this, helping you just make better decisions when it comes to printers. All right, so once you have decided on the budget for your printer, the next thing is to decide how much you're going to be printing. How often are you going to be printing with this printer? Is it going to be very little, like almost never? Or is it going to be all the time and you're going to constantly have to be using ink and ink and ink because you're going to be using the printer so much? Or are you right in the middle? There's gonna be times where you print a lot, but there's gonna be times where you don't print too much. So those three different categories, very low, I would say medium, and then high usage, you have to place yourself in that category. Just think about why you need the printer, what is the purpose, and how frequently you're going to be printing. And maybe you don't know up front, but try to get a general idea. Now, if you're gonna be printing very little, and you're on the low end of the spectrum, then what I would recommend is actually those printers I just suggested, the lower price printers. So coincidentally, the lower price actually ties hand in hand with the lower usage. So the HP Envy models, the HP DeskJet models, those are gonna be great for if you don't have to print as much. If you're gonna be printing more than the usual, or medium, if you're gonna be printing every now and then, you're gonna be printing a lot, but then you're gonna go in phases of not using it too much, the HP OfficeJet models and the Epson EcoTank models, the lower models on that. So the Epson EcoTank 2850 is a good model to start off on, and that is a tank-based printer. You're gonna be using bottled ink. Bottled ink is gonna be way less expensive than using ink cartridge ink. Now, I do wanna explain why I personally don't own an Epson EcoTank or any tank printer. That is going to be a printer where you're gonna be able to get a lot more prints for a lot less cost. You can also use remanufactured ink on most of the Epson EcoTank lineup. So you can actually go on Amazon, and I always link to Amazon down below because they have the best products, the best selection. You can get products within a day or two. You don't have to go out to the store. So all the links down below are affiliate links to Amazon, and you can use any one of those links and type up the printer model name and type in ink or remanufactured ink right after that, and you'll see all of the options. And if you compare the price of the OEM Epson ink or HP ink or whatever it is, whatever brand, and you look at the remanufactured version, you're getting a lot lower price. You're gonna be spending way less. So there are some great remanufactured ink options when it comes to the Epson EcoTank lineup. Now, if you are going to be using your printer a lot, high usage, I would go with a higher Epson EcoTank model. The Epson EcoTank 3850, 4850, those are the higher EcoTank models, but not super high prices. And then also the Canon SuperTank printers. This is the tank version of the Canon printers, the Canon lineup, and the same deal there with the Epson EcoTanks. You're gonna be getting a lot more ink, you're gonna get lower cost on the ink, so that's for high usage. If you're gonna be printing all the time, you don't wanna be spending so much on ink. A bottle ink based printer is going to be what you want to go with. So I really hope I've broken it down. Lower, I gave you some options, HP DeskJet. There are even some Epson printers, Epson XP, Epson Workforces, that are a lot less money, that are going to be for lower usage. And then you get into the higher usage, you get into the tank printers, and then an HP OfficeJet printer that's not a bottle-based printer, but it's good for medium use. And then when you get to high usage, I would go with an Epson EcoTank or a Canon SuperTank printer. Now, Brother and HP do have tank printers, but they're not really quite up there. I've done a lot of reviews on my channel. Epson is at the top, Canon falls right below it, and then HP and all the others. So I usually just mention Epson and Canon. So there you have a lineup of which printers are the best for high usage. Now, the whole reason why I started this channel was because I was buying printers at Goodwill that actually were not working. They couldn't print. They printed blank pages. They weren't printing a certain color. And my business was to buy these printers for $5, $10, and I would bring them home and I would work on them. I would fix them. And one of the most reoccurring problems in these printers at Goodwill was the print heads were clogged. So they couldn't print a certain color, blank pages, and that print head needed to be cleaned. Over time, I ended up finding a solution for myself, and I got into actually selling the product myself. And that is the Best Printers Cleaning Kit. If you are currently experiencing a problem where you have faded prints, choppy prints, lines in your prints, printing blank pages, this product can be a really good solution for you. There are so many different videos on this channel of me showing you how to use this product on various printer models. All you have to do is go to my channel page, search up your printer model number, search up your printer, and you will find a video of me explaining how to use this cleaning kit on your specific printer model. This product is the sponsor of this video, so there's gonna be a link down in the description below. If you believe you may need it, and you also need the instructions, there are instructions in this packaging, but use this channel as a resource, and make sure to subscribe. So make sure to click the link down below, pause the video, click the link, and then come back and watch the rest of this video. All right, so as we get to the next level, we've talked about price, most important thing up front, and then we've talked about how much you're gonna be printing. Now we're gonna be talking about what features do you need on a printer. Are you just gonna be printing? Do you also need to scan? Do you need to scan multiple documents at once and have them in one PDF? Do you want a touch screen on the printer? Do you want multiple paper trays so that you can have more paper stored in the printer and use different types of paper? Are you gonna be printing photos? Are you gonna be printing with heavier cardstock or, specialty paper? It's very important to understand what you need, and you may want to take a notebook, you may want to take some notes on your phone and just say, these are the top 3 things I need. If I don't have anything else in a printer, it's totally fine. If you are in a profession where you need to scan multiple documents, like a contract or a school project, you need to scan it and scan multiple pages into one PDF, you're gonna need an automatic document feeder. Not every printer has an automatic document feeder. So that is something you'll wanna pay attention to. Now, an automatic document feeder is easy to identify on a printer just by looking at the picture of the printer. It's usually at the very top. You see a little divot, and it's an extra piece that goes along the top. Most printers have a glass scanner. Those are pretty standard, but some of them don't. So you wanna pay attention. If you have to do some scanning at some point, you do wanna have a glass scanner. Also, what are the scanning options? Can you scan directly to your computer? Can you scan to a email? Can you scan to a USB? If you don't have a glass scanner, you won't be able to copy. Are you gonna be needing to copy documents? Now, the best printers for photo printing in general are usually going to be the Canon printers. Whether they're tank printers or ink cartridge based, those are the printers you're gonna wanna go with if you're wanting to print primarily photos and documents at the same time. But there are some excellent Canon models that I have reviewed on my channel. Now also, do you want a touch screen on your printer? For example, with the Epson EcoTank lineup, the 2850, the lower priced printer, does not have a touchscreen. You use the buttons that are on the side. But if you go up to the Epson EcoTank 4850, does have a touchscreen. And having a touchscreen is just, in my opinion, that's the way to go, and that's what I would prefer personally. So you will want to compare the features on any printer that you're looking at. So really that's going to determine a lot of times the price. More features means more money. Less features means less money. So really all of these things I'm talking about, they're all relevant and they all really tie in together. The last thing I wanted to talk about in this video is your setup. Where are you gonna have the printer? The reason why I personally don't have an Epson EcoTank printer, because I highly recommend them on my channel all the time, but the reason why I don't personally have one is because it doesn't work with my setup. I have my printer right up here and it sits up there, and I need to be able to access it. And the way that it's shaped, the way that it's positioned, it's easy for me to reach up there and place papers on the automatic document feeder, grab them off, and then the way that the paper tray sits is actually in a position where it's very easy to go up and just grab one really quick. With the Epson EcoTank, I tried having one and it did not work with my space. The positioning was off, and for some reason it was just different than what I was used to with the HP OfficeJet. So you really need to think about, where are you gonna put this printer? Do you want a less bulky printer, a smaller printer that is not gonna take up too much space? If you need to move it, it's very light. You know, if you need to move it from one room to the next, or whatever it might be, if you have a huge printer that's really heavy, then that's gonna be a lot more difficult for you to move the printer around. So within the feature list, especially on Amazon, there's a part where you can go down and kind of look at, and there's always this spot where on Amazon that I really like for most brands, where you can compare the printer that you're looking at to similar printer models, and usually they're higher or lower. They're usually not the same, and it'll tell you what the differences are, and you can see what you're getting for the price. A big feature on printers is double-sided printing. Not all printers do double-sided printing. That's a huge one. If you need to do double-sided printing, you've got to verify through the feature list, through the spec list on Amazon or wherever you're buying, hey, does this printer do double-sided printing? If that's in your top 3, you're really gonna wanna consider that, because a lot of printers, you'll be surprised with some of the printers that don't do double-sided printing. Double-sided printing means the printer prints on one side, takes the paper back, flips it around, and prints on the other side, and you have a two-sided document. But if you look at the specification list, you can see the weight and the size of the printer. So you can take a measuring tape and look at the space that you have and determine, do I need a smaller printer, or is it okay if I just have a bigger printer? I lean on the side of having a smaller, lighter weight printer because it's just easier to manage, you know, at any point. But really thinking and considering the space that you have for the printer is going to help you determine and make a decision on which printer you actually should end up buying. It's funny because this goes back to the price. The lower price printers, the lower models, the lower features are usually the smaller and less bulky printers. But when you go up in the models, there are ways to avoid getting those really big bulky printers. The Epson EcoTank lineup I really like. They're not bulky, they're not heavy, so those are some really good printers in general. Alright, so once again, there is going to be a list of printers down below that will help identify every type of printer that I talked about in this video is going to be linked down below. Also, the sponsor of today's video, the Best Printers Cleaning Kit, there will be a link for that product as well. Hey, help me get to 50,000 subscribers. That would be amazing. Now, if you feel like I missed something in this video and you'd like to give your input, comment below. Your comments are welcome, and I'll do my best to respond. I do get tons of comments on this channel, and I try to keep up with them, but there are so many of you that have so many questions. All right, so I hope that this was a good printer buying guide for you. It was packed with information. Hopefully you took some notes. You may have to watch this video again, maybe 2-3 times. Make sure to like the video if you're doing that, and comment below if you have any questions. Subscribe to the channel if this video was helpful and valuable, because there are a lot of other videos I'll come out with and that I have already put out that will help you make the best buying decision when it comes to printers, and then printer repairs, printer recommendations, ink installations. When you get the specific printers, you get a specific printer, you can actually watch an unboxing video on that specific printer on my channel. I have a ton of videos on this channel unboxing various different printer models. All right, but that's really all I have for today. I thank you so much for watching, and until next time.